No wonder your back isn't getting wider. You might be doing lat pull-downs wrong. Lat pull-down is one of the most common back exercises in the gym. It effectively targets the latissimus dorsi, teres major, and teres minor, helping to widen your back. However, many people make mistakes when performing this exercise. Today, Chef Nippert will break down the key principles of lat pull-down, helping you avoid two common mistakes. Mistake number 1, using an underhand grip. If you're performing lat pull-downs with an underhand grip, you're primarily training the biceps rather than your back. While this can be good for arm development, it's not ideal for building a wider back. Mistake number 2, incorrect elbow positioning. Many beginners tend to bring their elbows too far forward, resulting in excessive arm involvement and reducing the contraction in the back muscles. This weakens the overall effectiveness of the exercise, the correct lat pull-down technique. So, what's the right way to do it? 1. Choose a grip width 1.5x shoulder width. This maximizes lat activation and also engages the teres major muscles. 2. Use a semi-open grip. Avoid gripping too tightly. A looser grip reduces arm involvement, allowing better back isolation. 3. Secure your lower body. Lock your legs under the pad and keep your heels firmly on the ground. 4. Engage your shoulder blades. Keep your chest lifted, head up, and depress your scapula before pulling. Your upper arm should be at a 10 to 15 angle inward. This is the optimal range for activating the lats. 5. Pull the bar down correctly. Lower the bar until it passes your chin, ideally touching your chest. Hold at the bottom for a peak contraction before slowly returning to the starting position. 6. Controlled eccentric phase. Don't let the bar snap back up. Instead, control the movement by actively resisting the weight. Fully extend your elbows before initiating the next rep. Should you lean back during lat pull-downs? Chef Nippert explains that leaning back slightly is not necessarily wrong. As long as you control the movement and don't rely entirely on momentum, a slight backward lean is acceptable. In fact, many advanced lifters lean back slightly to generate power during the pull, but they slowly control the eccentric phase to maximize back engagement. Final thoughts: mastering the lat pull-down with proper form will maximize your back width and improve overall muscle engagement. I'm Coach Arif Malik, and if you want to learn more fitness tips, make sure to subscribe. Thank you. See you next video.